I want this all to be mastermind, collaborative. I want people to share vulnerability, successes, things you struggle with. This is meant to be a workshop. This is meant to inspire. This is meant to help you. I'm Chad Lubin, for those of you that don't know me. I have the pleasure and the responsibility to help all my loan officers here that might have invited you to grow and think bigger and set their mindset. That's really hard to do when the market has been as tough as it has been these last 3 to 6 months. It's hard to think big. It's hard to set big goals. It's hard not to think a little smaller as you enter into a year when we are coming off a time that's a little difficult, right? It's, I have a coaching company that I'm one of the 7 owners in. It's 5 real estate professionals. It's 2 lending coaches, right? And these are all $1 million earners, several million in the bank, very credible, some of the best real estate agents and lenders in the country. And we were talking about this today on our meeting right before this, of how hard it is to get in a mindset to perform at a top level and to go after big things when it's been very difficult. It is hard, right? So I want to inspire you today to do that. I want to give you some things that have worked for me in the past. I called this 10x thinking for goal setting, not 2x. So does anyone know what the difference is between 10x and 2x? Yep. So to me, in our industry, 2x work is busy work. 2x work is make more phone calls, go to more events, meet with more clients, do more pop buys, reach out to the clients more. That's 2x work, right? That's busy work. That's going out and saying, I'm going to work harder to get more done, right? Why we all need to do that, we probably all can work a touch harder. It's not going to get you 10x results, right? 10x is working smarter, not working harder, right? So I wanted to talk about how you can do that, how you can set your mind to it. I will tell you, as real estate agents, you are better. I've witnessed some of the best in the country. They're my partners in our coaching company. If any of you need coaching, it's the only plug I'll give. Our company is B Coaching and Consulting, gobegreat.com. There's 5 levels of coaching. But these are people that I've looked up to for many years, and now I get to be their business partner. And the thing I notice in them, you guys can design your team. In my opinion, you're welcome to push back, any of you, on me. You're able to design your team, to lead, and to have people take care of things in your process. You're better at it than the lenders are. I've just seen it done more times in real estate with larger teams where it works better than it does with larger lending teams. So this is real for all of you. This is a reality that all of you can achieve. I've seen it many, many times with my partners. A couple of them own 5, 6, 7 businesses and just oversee it all. So that's what I'm talking about today. Doesn't mean that's where you need to go to next year. But when you think bigger, things happen quicker, okay? So that's what today is all about. I have a 1-page business plan set for you, okay? We will fill that out towards the end. I want to give you a workshop and framework to take this and do this for real, for yourselves. So what I gave you today is a 1-page business plan. I gave you where are you now? This is, hey, today this is where I am, right? I look at struggles in those areas, things I want to fix in myself, in my business, in my life, okay? I gave you a visual wheel of all of the areas of your life. It is page 3. And if any of you need a packet, they're right up there. Any of you online, just email us, Chad at the Lubin Group, and we will send this to you. These are the areas of your life, okay? How many of you are struggling with one area in your life right now? You don't need to tell me which one, okay? We all are. It's never like a full wheel. It's impossible to pull off. I always say we're what do they call it? The boy or girl with their finger in the dike. Is that what they called it? In the Swedish Times, there's a little kid that had their finger in the dike, right? To stop from all the water. We're always putting our finger somewhere else in our life, and we got to pour into that. So I'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll set some 1-year goals. Set some 1-year goals. Where will you be? Where do you want to be this time next year? Okay. I would encourage you to do another exercise on top of that. Write a contract to yourself. I do it every birthday. Okay, I posted a picture today that my good friend David told me I shouldn't have. I had my shirt off, but I'm proud of. I've lost a lot of weight. I'm on this nutrition journey. I read this book called The Glucose Revolution that's just changed my life, made me feel better, helped me operate at a higher level, right? And I had my birthday contract to myself that I didn't notice in the picture, right? And I'm getting a lot of comments about it because one of them said sex with my wife 5 times a week, right? So everyone's like, wow, 5 times a week. I need to step my game up. So that's just an instance of a goal, right? That is a goal we have because when we're intimate in our relationship, we're better together. Our marriage is better. Our kids are better. We're better parents. Just everything works out from that one goal, right? I'm better at work. It's just better, right? So that could be an example of a goal, right? Sorry, I'm going to share a lot of myself with you today. You can take it or leave it. Then we will set, huh? And I did this morning too.
I said it was a choice.
My man David always has got a flip side perspective that I love, and he's not scared to share it with me. So we've been good friends for many, many years. But the where are you now? I've been doing this for a while. People put loose things on there. I want to have a better marriage, or I want to spend more time with my kids. You can't measure that and track that. Therefore, it will not happen. So they need to be very clearly defined goals, right? Like intimate with my wife. My wife probably loves that I'm sharing this online right now. She's probably watching, shaking her head, but it is very clear of whether we're not doing it or not, right? A date night is one of my goals. 1 week with my daughters, the other week with my wife. They each get a date night every other week. It either is happening or it's not. I'm either falling short or I'm hitting it, right? So when you set where will you be, these are clearly defined goals. So for work, mine was I was working 60 hours a week. I cut it back to 45 this year, right? A little easy with how slow the market's been. A little easier, working less hours, right? But that was my goal, and I've achieved it. And I have more time with my kids, and I'm better all around because of it. So that is a very clear goal. I'm either hitting it every week and working 45 hours a week, or I'm not. Right? It's success or it's not happening. Right? It doesn't have to mean failure. It's like, hey, I'm falling short here. So that's what I want those goals to look like. And then rate the importance of how important this is, right? What I find funny when I look at this, what I think is funny, and what I find funny in my life, I focus on work and money the most, naturally in my mind. Guess what? When I really think about it and I look at this whole wheel, guess where it falls in my level of importance? Last. I used to obsess about money. I used to praise money, a false idol. I used to just talk about it, focus on it, think about it too much. And then I looked at it several years in a row. It was last on my priority. So why am I spending so much time thinking about it? It's kind of silly, right? So this has helped me change my mental attitude towards money and work, that although I think it's really important and I focus on it all the time, when I really look at it, it's not the most important thing in my life. In fact, it's way down at the bottom, right? So why am I bringing that stuff home? It's helped me leave work at work. Why am I letting it roll into my family time? Why am I answering text messages at dinner when I should be with my wife and my kids? It just has helped me fix all that stuff, right? So I encourage you to think deeply about this. This isn't a walk out of today and your goals are set and done. I do this 4 or 5 times between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And that last week of the month, I set it, I laminate it, and those are my goals I'm going after the next year. It takes me 5 times of doing it because I think of something different each time. So just laying the groundwork for how this will work today. That, and then the 1-year vision are some fun things, right? Vacations, long weekends, some toys you want, cash assets, giving, accomplishments, whatever you want to write down there. I'm not going to go over that today, but I encourage you to take what we do today and take that back and think about it more. Sound good? And lastly, I actually start with the 5-year vision first, guys. When I do this, I think out longer and think bigger. It's easier for me, like, oh, I can do that in 5 years, right? Well, I'm not gonna quadruple my income next year. Maybe, but probably not. But I could in 5 years. So I think really big first, and then I reverse engineer it back. Okay, so if I'm gonna do that in 5 years, I need to do 1/5 of that this year. And then it just makes it very easy to go about, right? Like our 5-year vision was to on it, I let my girls do it with me too. I have 3 little girls. And theirs was Disney World. So that's really easy to knock out. We're going to Disney World in 3 weeks, right? So it just makes it where if it's written down and you're looking at it, then you reverse engineer it to the year that you can achieve it. Sound good? Cool. So some things. How do you achieve 5-10x? Let me start by why you should listen to me. And I'm going to be very real with you right now. In 2009 into 2010, I had lost my mortgage company. I had a drug addiction. I had an alcohol addiction. I had no love in my life. I'm a Christian, but I wasn't following Christ at that time. I had a business partner betray me, and I had $190,000 that he had embezzled. I had a girl living with me at the time that stole $75,000 on a credit card, forging my name, getting credit cards in her name. And oh, by the way, she was cheating on me with the guy and funding that relationship on my credit card. Oh. Fun to find out, right? I didn't make that up. No, this is my life between 2009 and 2010. Yep. I had 110,000 of IRS debt. I had 4 development deals go belly up. I got cheated by 2 partners. I turned around, I had $330,000 in debt. No love in my life. Christ wasn't in my life. My wife wasn't in my life. January 18th, 2010, I attempted suicide. I was at rock bottom, right? Feeding it all with alcohol and drugs and partying, thinking that it would cure it. It wasn't. It led to a very dark place. So luckily I had a God moment. He saved me with my bulldog as I was about to do what I had planned to do. She who never slept and woke up once she slept, she was out, came down, looked me in the eyes, barked at me. So within 90 days, I got 4 things that really helped propel me off rock bottom. Number 1 is I accepted Christ back into my life and got strong in my faith. Number 2, I went to NA and got help for my cocaine addiction. Number 3, I met my wife. Unfortunately, it was at a funeral of my best friend who I was doing that stuff with, and he lost his life. So that shook me, but it did also bring me to my wife. I found coaching and I found some mentors to help me pay off the debt and to help me both at NA and in the business world. And I would say the best thing I got was to create a vision of what your life looks like after addiction and with all these things. So I created a vision board, and it was instrumental to me getting out of that mindset, having a light at the end of the tunnel of this terrible time I was going through. And I looked at it every day, and I just visualized my life not being what it is now and working towards it. The depression went away, the anxiety went away, the addiction went away. That allowed me to be a different man that would attract a woman like my wife. And my family started after that. My business started flourishing. Everything came from that. So really, I believe that was God intervening. But the tool that I received was vision. The tool that I got was goal. It changed my life, right? So I'm going to share some things. The people on will see them. our TV was not up there. We're moving offices, so sorry that it's not here for you to see, but I created a vision board, right? So from 2010, having $330,000 of debt, and this is not meant to brag, it's meant to inspire. $330,000 of debt. I now own $7 million of real estate. I have $6 million in the stock market. I have a very good income with lots of great people that I get to lead, right? So you can hit rock bottom. The vision board happened. We owned the beach house that was on that initial vision board. If it wouldn't have been on my vision board, I wouldn't have talked to the realtor about my dream. If my realtor didn't know the dream, she wouldn't have went and found the place for me. So it all came from vision, right? The dog that we wanted to buy, a Bernedoodle Bow, was purchased. That was on my girls' vision board. We made that happen. The car that I'd always dreamed about for 10 years, it was on the initial one I did right after rock bottom. I bought that car 2 years ago. It's a Mercedes GT 63. I put on that initial vision board a family and a wife on a beach. We live that now at our beach home. I took my 10-year anniversary trip that was on a vision board 5 years ago with my wife to Anguilla. The boat that was on there, all these things happened, right? And once again, it's not meant to brag or impress you, but I promise you, if I wouldn't have wrote it on these forms 10 years ago, if I wouldn't have put it on that vision board, it would not have happened. Okay, so I want to inspire you guys to think big today. And this is how I believe in doing it, right? So take some notes. If any of you need a pen, my man Sean's got some pens for us. Anyone need a pen? Y'all got pens?
Yep.
Cool. BHAG is big, hairy, audacious goal. Big, hairy, audacious goal. So mine is to own the Chicago Cubs. People laugh at it. It's really my goal. Cool. So I will tell you, that is my goal. That is what I'm going to set my life to do. If I fall short and I go down swinging, trying, guess what? My life's going to be a lot better than not trying, right? Because I will take bigger risks. I'm a risk taker. I'm not conservative. I will preface that. It allows me to think big. So I will share some things that goal has done. I am developing my first spec home, and I have designed it with an architect, and we have a general contractor whose life I get to change. He moved here from the Dominican 2 years ago. He's working on getting his citizenship. Because of this project, he is getting endorsed, and his green card was extended, right? The architect had a similar story to me. I met him at church. It's changing his life, and he's following his passion, right? And also it will net me about $1 million of the price we just got. So can I own the Chicago Cubs continuing to do loans? No way. Could I, as a real estate developer? I don't know, but it could be a path that gets there. There are many you have to be a billionaire, by the way, to own the Cubs. I imagine Tom Ricketts isn't going to give it away, right? So you got to get to think that way, right? Second thing is I work for Cross Country Mortgage. We love cross country. Ron, who owns our company, is the only billionaire I would consider my friend, right? He's my friend. We talk a lot. I hang out with him. I see and just observe him, what it takes to be a billionaire. Don't know that I can pull it off myself. Time will tell, but thinking that way has me asking him more questions. So it started with the goal of owning the Cubs, but it has me hanging out with the billionaire, asking more questions, asking for some of his time. He's very gracious and gives to me. Text him this morning at 8:30, 8:45. There were answers. I do this, I would do this, I would do this in that situation. So it's led me to pursue him more, to think that way, right? But once again, I'm not going to be a billionaire doing loans at cross country. I would have to own a cross country, right? So those are things I'm starting to think about. I've been transparent with him about it. He said, I love that. I'll help you get there if that's what you decide to do, right? Third is I was working at a coaching company. I did not enjoy the leadership. I struggled with following somebody that I wanted to be nothing like. And I also wasn't getting paid my hourly rate. So I started a coaching company because of this goal of the Cubs, right? I said, why would I work somewhere when I could have my own thing? Cool. So I want you all to write down what your big, hairy, audacious goal is. Mine is owning the Cubs. What is yours, Adam?
What is my?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't really thought of it lately, but that's a great question. Ultimately, it'd be my son playing for Manchester City.
Oh, okay, cool. So getting AJ to a point where he could play in the Premier League.
So I could like spend, hey,
Right.
spend time taking him to, oops, sorry guys, taking him to Europe and traveling and being able to have the financial freedom to do that.
Right, so you get how when you reverse engineer that, what the steps you need to take.
Yeah, we talked about yesterday, like
Right.
training, like right now, like you train 2-3 hours a day.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it now and he's 11.
So we had our holiday party last night. Adam brought his son here. AJ is in all of his soccer stuff. Him and I have a cool bond. He likes me and I like him. And I said, hey, I grew up with an NBA basketball player. I played football, baseball. I didn't play basketball, but I played alongside with him every day. Here's what he did when he was your age. I didn't do it, but I observed him doing this. So we had this cool conversation. Now you can put him in camps like that, right? You can start talking to him of what it takes. You can maybe go to Europe and experience a game with him so he gets excited and comes back and works that hard, right?
Yep.
See how when you set it, you just, okay, what's the steps to take it, right? But it's got to be big. Otherwise, you don't think about the steps you got to take to get. Anyone else want to share anything?
Well, let's say I would like to have my own private jet.
Own private jet? I love that.
That is
Cool. So who do you know who's got a private jet?
That's one. I got no Ron.
Ron, right?
Yeah.
I could connect you to Jay Fletch's best investor, owns a private jet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He invests in a lot of real estate. Ron owns a mortgage company, right? But when you're clear on what you're trying to do, it's not about hitting it. It's like, okay, what do I got to do to get there? And how do I start thinking like that and living like that? Anyone else want to share? Jay Brown, what's your BHAG?
A couple. Franchise.
I don't know if I don't have volume.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So, possible franchise real estate. Go nationwide, and then I want to own like half of Hickory. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I'm struggling with the technology.
Okay, sorry. Can you
All
hear me
good.
better?
I think it's on my end.
So,
So,
owning half of where I
visualize
live.
yourself doing these things. Have a vision board. I take 5 to 10 minutes every morning with my coffee. What time do you wake up, Nadia?
6:30,
6:30?
7,
7?
yes.
What do you
I
do
will
when you
never
wake
get
up?
early. Don't even try.
Huh? I'm not making you get up earlier. I'm just asking a question.
Successful people do get up at like 4:30 or 5. That's okay, but I have my beauty sleep, but I have my routine. Okay, I'm gonna look young. And so I go to the gym. This is my coach at the gym, right here.
Oh, really? Hey.
Yep. So I get up and meditate, and then I have my AG1 routine instead of coffee routine, and then I head to the gym. My class is at 9 a.m. and then I start my workday at 10:30.
10:30?
Yeah, I
Okay,
finish
cool,
at 8 p.m.
cool. So I want to encourage you to get up 10 minutes earlier. Okay? Once you have a vision board and you have goals, every morning, I heard a great line. It is, no matter what time you wake up, the first 15 minutes suck.
And
Whether I wake up at 10 o'clock, 10 to 10:15 sucks. I wake up at 4:45 to 5 a.m. sucks, right? So I like to get it out of the way. I'm not making you get up earlier, okay? That's not where I'm trying to go. But I take those first 15 minutes. I do water, lemon, and salt. I chug that, and then I can have my coffee, right? So during my lemon water and coffee, I just shut my eyes, because it helps me think clearly and visualize better and just think about my goals and what I have to do that day. And I play them in my mind. That's how I start my day. It's really helped me see these things clearly. That's where the coaching company came from. I just kept having this feeling like, God, I'm hating this. God, I don't enjoy it. And why? Because I love helping people. And I used to love to coach. Why is it? Why do I keep feeling this way? And it came through visualization in the morning, right? I'm feeling this way because I don't respect the person, the audio didn't meet the video, right? And I lived right by him, right? And it happened over and over. The words didn't meet the actions, rarely ever. So I came to the conclusion like, well, that's not going to change. So I got to go do my own thing. So it's just a product of visualization. Cool. So I want you to take 10, 15 minutes, start your day, visualize these goals once you hit them. This will sound corny, but I also do it at work through positive affirmations. I speak it upon myself, right? I had to tell myself I didn't feel worthy if I'm going to compete in the coaching industry against someone I looked up to, and that helped me out of some of the turmoil I told you I had in my life. I didn't feel up to that level. I didn't feel like I was enough to start it and to lead it, right? I had to speak it upon myself. I no longer feel that way. In fact, I know that I'm as good or better version than him, right? But I had to speak that upon myself because mentally it wasn't there. So that's another thing I do with these goals. And then the biggest thing is reverse engineer these goals. Okay. You have to know the action steps to hit them. Cool. So if it's go to Disney World, I needed to make $15,000 extra dollars. You know, how much that is to take 3 little girls to Disney for 2 days, 15 grand. I don't know. I guess Disney just has it figured out. Right. But it's a lot.
Chad wants to stay in the castle.
You're not staying at a 2-star resort, by the way.
Yeah. But I'm saying overall, the airfare and the hotel, and I mapped it all out. It was like 13 grand, meals and everything. And it's almost 15 grand for 2 days. Crazy, right? Well, I had to figure out how I was going to make that extra 15 grand to, huh? No, down in Orlando. Yeah, crazy. So reverse engineer how you're going to get there, right? So that was easy for me. Make 5 more calls a day. I make 30. I made 35 every day, right? And it got me to that result. It was over a week, 1 extra deal. So that's just an example of reverse engineering your goals. Too many people set these goals and they make 3 mistakes. Number 1, they're not clearly defined, so you can't measure whether you hit it or not. Why is a losing weight goal so popular and so many people are successful at it?
Very measurable.
Measurable.
Track it.
You can track it. And you can check in, you can reverse engineer it. If I need to lose 30 pounds, there's 52 weeks in the year and I want to lose 30 pounds in a year. Pretty easy, right? 30 pounds divided by 52. Was it like 0.6, 0.7 pounds? That's what I need to lose every week. So I got to step on the scale every Monday to see if I lost 0.7 pounds. So that's just an example how you reverse engineer these things. Cool. Any other successful things that any of you have done to set a goal, reverse engineer, and work towards it?
What are we doing? 411 or 315? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
Well, at Keller Williams, sorry to back up, but they trained us to have a goal and then divide it by 4 quarters and then divide it by months, by week, and what's going to be the tasks. Is it 411? It's called
411.
Yeah,
It's engineering your
Correct.
goals. I like that.
But it's very, very productive. And so
Cool.
then, you know, okay, but you base it based on the numbers. So if my goal is to make $200,000, I divide it by the amount of deals I have to close, divided by the amount of time I have to put in. And then I know that over the weekend, I have to do 4 open houses. Otherwise, I'm not going to hit it for this week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be behind. Makes
Cool.
sense?
I like that. Yeah.
It works.
Clearly defined,
Clearly.
measurable, reverse engineer. Those are the 3 things that I think are most important to hit your goals. Clearly defined, measurable, right? And reverse engineered, or a system like you said 411 was.
I feel like you always have to think about your big why in order to be on track.
Yeah, you can put the why behind it.
like you ask about us about big goal, but you have to ask why.
Why?
You know
Yep,
what I mean?
yep.
You read this book? One thing.
The One Thing
The
by
One-
Gary Keller. Yep,
Yeah.
I have. Very good book. Anything else? Anyone else got systems for reverse engineering?
Big track, I think it just makes it easier, like. To break it down into small parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so like this time of year, I set my own goals, I sit down with my team. I'm thinking about last year this time and broke down, whether it's a number of sales or it's a dollar figure or whatever.
Yeah.
But very much what she's saying, like, how do you get there? And looking at the whole year, it becomes like impossible with that number.
Yeah.
But if you start breaking down month, week, day, it becomes much more digestible that way, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel so.
It doesn't feel overwhelming. There you go. That's
And
the
if
key.
you're trying to have that same conversation with people on your team. Again, it doesn't feel like, oh, there's no way I'm gonna get this number by. So,
That's right. I
and,
love that.
and then looking back at that, it's almost a year, almost in my motion, like it was really close, which I'm pretty happy about. But then breaking down the numbers and seeing what that was per month why I didn't hit it, you're like, oh, that was it?
That was it. Yeah.
It was this much.
Right.
It's this much at the end of the year, but like on a monthly basis, you're like, damn, that's nothing.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good to look back at that and look at pieces.
That's right. And that's a perfect segue into what I was going to say next is looking at it every single week, because that happens to so many people as they set a goal, they start measuring it, they start looking at it, and then it gets away from them. And then they look maybe back when they're setting their goals next year and look at it and say, I missed it. Well, why did you miss it? And when it was by that much, well, it's just because you weren't reviewing it and you lost sight of it a little bit. You were doing the work necessary to do it, or maybe falling a little bit short, but that compounded day in, day out over a year ends up meaning missing it by that much. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I review these goals that I give you every Wednesday, right? I try and think about them and visualize them for 5 minutes every day. I review them hardcore Wednesday morning. Like, am I on track? Am I on track? Why am I falling behind? Right. And he's right. Owning the Chicago Cubs is an overwhelming task, right? But starting a development company and building my first spec home, starting a coaching company, right? And starting to talk to my owner of what it takes to be the owner of a mortgage company this year was reverse engineered goals. And that was not hard to do. Right? I looked for the deal. I found the deal that made the first sense. I put the crew in place. I put the operating agreement in the development company. I found 6 people in the coaching company that I admired and looked up to, whose audio does meet their visual. They live what they say they do, and I knew I could align with them. And I was one of the people that put that group together. That was not impossible, right? Talking to my CEO of what it takes to being a billionaire and being on his schedule every other week, that's not impossible, but it has me thinking way different, right? So some of these things it's going to take. Now, by the way, my goal is to own the Chicago Cubs by the time I die. So I hopefully got another 50 years to work on it, right? But it just has me thinking different. So very, very good. Second thing you have to do is follow the 80-20 rule, right?
Yeah.
The 80-20 rule. 20% of the work you do creates 80% of the results. 20% of the work you do creates 80% of the results. That means the other 80% of the work you do probably is not creating the results. So how do you peel that away, right? I will give you an example. I left a mortgage company in 2018. Unfortunately, I used their direct number. Okay. And you probably have heard real estate companies doing this too. So I now have learned to only use my cell numbers that I control. Right. But because of that, a ton of business was lost when I left that company, because they thought they were calling and emailing me. And in fact, this company sat behind the scenes and pretended like I was still there and captured my client base and reached out to them like they were me. But I didn't control the number. So they got the business, right? So I now have two numbers because I work two markets. I work this market in Chicago and I work the Charlotte, North Carolina market. I work two markets, right? Well, I have two numbers attached to them. Now I was building North Carolina, so I had a phone number there, right? Well, the clients were getting it. Everybody was getting it, right? Well, I want to service you all. I want to service my loan officers. I want to service my VIPs. No offense, but it's my team's job to take care of the clients, right? It's mine a little bit. It's really their job, right? So I shouldn't be texting and talking with the clients. It's an example of some of the work that I was doing. That's a lot of work, but it doesn't produce many results, right? Talking to David every Monday and his team, talking to Olin and his team, that produces results for me. That's where my time should be spent. And that's where I want to spend it because I enjoy the relationships, right? So I took this number because it was getting to be too much to manage and I handed it over to my team. And now I have a new hotline. David's like, oh my God, another number, please. But I just saw so much of my time spent texting a client about an appraisal that I don't even know about because my team sees it way before me. Well, that should go to my team, right? My team can control that. So that is an example. I removed that number out of my life because it was part of that 80% of my day that really wasn't producing many results. Now there's a little bit of pain I've had to go through in that transition, right? But I'll smooth it out just like when I gave up my first number and handed that over to my team, right? And it will make me more available and produce more results with the people that I know I'm in relationship with, produce results for me, I produce results for them. So that'd be an example, giving up email and having your team do it, right? We always have someone in my email. It's not always me. There's always somebody there. Sometimes me, sometimes it's my team captain, Derek. Sometimes it's my loan partner, Ryan. But there's always somebody covering it. And 90% of the time, no one cares who it is as long as they get their answers, right? So that would be an example. How many of you have social media as a black hole? If you go on it, you like go down a rabbit hole and you wake up like a half hour later, like what just happened, right? I did nothing in this time. It is mine. I have two. It's the stock market, a Cubs blog, or social media, right? If I start looking at it, I'm gonna go through a half hour of unproductive time, right? That's okay to do that once a day. But sometimes when I don't want to make prospecting calls, go see people, go to a networking event, I'll go there instead of going. It's my place I go to when I want to avoid something, right? So get rid of it. So 2X is busy work. 10X is easier. Yes, thank you. It's big thinking. 2X is distracted, right? I'm going to say some things y'all all aren't going to like, but that's what I do as a coach, and I'm just blunt and direct. And you can push back. Feel free to push back. To me, if you can have someone do it, maybe meeting an inspector isn't the best use of your time, and calling 30 of your past clients is better use of that time, right? And sometimes you got to work to get there, right? Just know I've been doing this for 22 years, and I used to have to do everything on the loan until I got to a certain point, and then I could hire someone, and then I could give up a little bit more. So it's me saying this is 22 years of working towards that. So take that into consideration, right? Maybe answering every email is not the best use of your time. Maybe being super responsive to every single text message that comes your way is not the best use of your time. I'm not saying you don't have to do it, but being reactive all the time does not allow you to proactive work. Okay, so just some things to think about. So 10X means only focusing on that 20% of work that gives you 80% of the results. So I have a very good friend who has inspired my life. He is 2 years younger than me, and he has $42 million in the bank. I have watched him evolve. I'm telling you, he's very smart and very driven, but not that much more than me. And I've watched him eliminate any of that work that does not produce those results, 80% of the results, right? He just doesn't do it. He goes in with the client and says, nice to meet you. My team's going to take great care of you. We're super honored you're working with us. This person's going to do this. This person's going to do that. I wanted to come in. Thank you. I am here and I will oversee the whole process. I just want to introduce myself, but my team's going to take excellent care of you. That might not work for all of you, right? But that's the type of 10x thinking that he had to get to that point that he's at, right? So it's just thinking differently. Declutter your life. Declutter your life. It was the most important thing to me. Part of decluttering my life is my phone is turned off. The second I pull in my garage, it's turned off, put in my passenger seat, and does not come inside with me because it is a disrespect to my family. I don't let them invade my time at work. You can ask my wife, she'll come in for 10 minutes. I'm like, time to go. You have to go. The kids will come in and see me. I allow it for about 10 minutes and then it's, you got to go. I am focused on work. I will not let my family come into my work time. Therefore, to respect them, I do not let my work come into their time. That's decluttering of work. I don't check things when I'm working out. I don't look at texts while I'm working out. That's my time to myself. I don't look at things when I'm visualizing in my morning that have anything to do with my day or my work, right? I might think about these goals and how I achieve them in that day, but I'm not thinking like, oh crap, I forgot to respond to that email last night. So that is decluttering your life. So there's 4 ways to do this. Program your brain through positive affirmations. Have a calendar that is not on your phone. Mine is printed out on my desk every single day. Yes, it's housed in Outlook. I do not go to my phone for it. I'll explain why in a second. If I go, well, I'll just explain now. If I go to my phone, guess what's all over my phone? Notifications, text messages, emails. There's 1,000 things on this phone right now I need to do, right? I'm not going to disrespect you all by going to it right now. Just like I don't disrespect myself and my productivity to do things that I'm not supposed to be doing in that time. Okay. So my calendar is printed on my desk. I do have things on my phone. So how I start my day with that printed calendar, my day starts right when I get into the office. It will probably go off in a second. I visualize my day once I get to the office and have it all time blocked. It takes me about 20 minutes to start my day. And I have alarms on my phone that go off when I need to wrap this thing up and be into the next thing. It does 2 things for me. When I'm putting in the alarm, meet with Olin, right, to talk about his client event he has coming. Let's say that's at 2 o'clock today. At 1:57, if I'm on with the client, it will say wrap up with client Olin next about his client party. When that alarm goes off, I have like fun music that I enjoy, like the Beastie Boys or Biggie, or I'm a big metal fan, Metallica. It will go off. It will make me think about close this client or wrap up or do whatever I need to do very productive in this next 3 minutes. If I haven't done it on the first half hour of the meeting, I need to go now and wrap this up and go get this client's credit card and lock in their rate. It needs to happen in these next 3 minutes because I'm not going to disrespect my time with Olin, right? It also then mentally preps me a bit of, okay, I got to meet with Olin, talk to Olin, right? Olin's fun. Olin's great to talk to. I love talking about his client stuff because he cares about his client so much. So it also gives me a little push in my brain of getting a mindset to be with Olin, not stuck with this client. It just leads me so I have no real breaks in my day unless I schedule the breaks in my day. I will go right into that. I will shift mentally. I will be present with Olin. I won't be thinking anything about that past client. So I start my day for 20 minutes and put alarms in my phone. So my day is exactly time blocked. I control my calendar. I control my schedule. I control what I want to do on that day, but it takes preparation. I'm not perfect with it. It happens about 90% of the time. Guess what happens to my day when I don't do it? React, react, react. David can tell you, I did it to him 2 weeks ago. Him and his partner Shay, my top producing team. I disrespected their time by 8 minutes because I was on the wrong Zoom, because I didn't look at my calendar that day and put on Shay's Zoom, not on my Zoom. So they almost left me until she texted me. It was because I went back to it. I didn't do my calendar at the beginning. There was no alarm in my phone, right? I knew what time the meeting was. I was doing something else in the time. I wasn't focused because I didn't do that prep work at the time. And I'm sitting waiting on my Zoom for them when I'm supposed to be on their Zoom with them. And they had something to do. And luckily we have a good enough relationship that they forgave me for it. We got done what we needed to do, but I made them late in their next thing and then threw off that day. Disrespectful to my top client, right? My top partner. That makes sense? So that's why I have to do this to start the day. Now, they know it was nothing malicious. They know I'm on point 90% of the time, but it's just an example of where if they didn't want to, it's like Chad's not on it anymore. Let's go use another lender. That's a case of how bad that can get. So I'm just giving you some examples of when I'm not perfect in it, how it shows up. And we all have these things show up, but I was reactive that whole day. Now a team member was out and I had to cover some other things and I walked into chaos and I let the chaos run my whole day. I know if I would have taken those 20 minutes and not looped into the chaos, I would have planned it out. I would have said, Derek, you take this. Rachel, you need to take this. Hey, you need to cover here. Hey, I'll cover here. And hey, I have these 4 things at the end of the day. And they would have been on my phone and the alarm would have went off and I would have looked at it and I would have been more focused on that time. Cool. That is the best thing I can give you. It's changed my life. Any of you know Lin-Manuel Miranda? Hamilton? Olin's gonna hate that I say this, but I'm gonna say it because it's the truth, right? I hate theater. I don't enjoy it. I fall asleep every time. My wife loves it. I'm sorry, we all have our thing. I went to that production blown away. I'm like, oh my God. I think I've seen it 5 times now, right? On TV and watch it over. It's just great. So I now enjoy it was like the gateway into theater for me. I now enjoy other shows, right? We're going to Nutcracker next week, right? I'm willing to go to that because I loved Hamilton. I'm like, I need to open up a little bit more, right? But my point of saying this is, how much time and what do you think he focused on when he created Hamilton? You guys are both theater guys. How long did it take him to create that?
Years.
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he focus on when he was creating that? Nothing else.
Yeah, probably.
Just that. They quoted in the book, 10x is better than 2x. It's all he worked on. Now, maybe you guys say, I hadn't heard of him before. Now he's everywhere, right? He's like on tons of different movies. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're using the, in the example.
Yeah.
If you listen to any of his previous shows, any other music he's written, like, it's a building block.
It's leading up to him.
100%.
Yeah.
In the Heights. It's basically
In the Heights.
Hamilton, yeah.
It's very Hamilton centered. If you listen to the music he did for Moana, his movie,
Yeah.
no mistake.
He is in Moana, isn't he?
Well, he wrote all the music.
He wrote all the music?
But if
Okay.
you listen to it.
I didn't
like,
know
there's
that.
no mistake, like,
It all led up
it's a
to that
building
moment.
block.
Right.
So true.
So my point of telling you that is there are things like that in your life. Maybe they're real estate related, maybe they're not, right? But it's going to take that level of attention and that level of focus to work on it. And it's not going to come right away. And most people get discouraged when they don't hit it right away. He obviously did not. He kept working on it and many things he did led to that moment. Cool. So those are just some hacks on how to hit these things. So reverse engineer your thought process. I'm going to teach you how to do that. And then I'm going to let you hang out to fill this out. This will be the last thing I go over. Set a specific target. If it's to 10x your income, write that number down. Set a timeline behind it. Put a deadline behind it. Part of my recovery is I gotta find love, right? I have to find some. I didn't expect it to show up 90 days later at a funeral of one of my best friends. That's where it showed up. If I hadn't wrote it down, I hadn't prepared myself to be the man that would attract a woman like my wife. I wasn't mentally there, emotionally there, maturity there. I was not there. Writing it down helped me get there. So it helped attract her. Break it down. Divide the goal into smaller, measurable milestones. If it's a 5-year goal, like I said, consider yearly, monthly, and even weekly targets. I brought you back in when I gave Lin-Manuel Miranda a little more praise. I'm okay with theater now. That was the second part of the story. Is I actually enjoy it now. Identify key actions. For me, for the development company, it was just doing the LLC. It was $200 on LegalZoom. That was the action item I needed to take to do it. Everything else fell in place after I said, I'm doing this, and I committed money to it, right? And now there's a name and a legal entity of this business. So now I can start working on it. That was the action step for me. So figure out what those are for you. Create a timeline. Adjust and adapt. It's not going to go according to plan. There's 3 things I know about business. Number 1, it's going to be way harder than you thought it was. Number 2, there are going to be things that come into your life and into the business that you never expected. Number 3, if you handle number 1 and 2 well, and for me, I got to trust in a higher power, but if you follow number 1 and 2 well, it will go way bigger and way farther than you thought it would. When I was $330,000 in debt and my life was in shambles, I never dreamt of being a multimillionaire, having all this real estate, having a great family, everything that I now have. That was not the way I was thinking, right? But it will go way farther if you handle the adversity well. Stay motivated. What's that?
Kind of hard to always stay motivated. The same. What's your recommendation when you find out?
It's hard to stay motivated.
Yeah.
It's really hard right now, isn't it? I think a few things. She asked me for those online. How do you stay motivated? I have an alarm on my phone at 6, 11, and 3 o'clock. It says AMC. Check your AMC. AMC stands for attitude, motivation, and commitment. And when that alarm goes off, I say, how is my attitude? I naturally stay very motivated. I'm just very motivated. I'm just wired that way. But guess what? My attitude sucks a lot. So I have to check it a lot. So I have to check and say, how's my attitude? How am I showing up right now? Am I being a good version of myself? My attitude wavers. So I got to check it a lot. Commitment is easy. Make it about others. Don't make it about yourself. Invest in learning. Be a continuous learner. My nutrition wasn't great. I had terrible inflammation. I worked out all the time. I ate what I thought was healthy. I could tell something was wrong in my body. Had some warning signs, some precancerous signs, some big alarms going off in my body, right? So I invested into it. I now have a nutrition coach. I now have a meal plan. She checks all the ingredients. She gives me my grocery list. I had to invest in that. And if you ever need help there, her handle, I'll give her a little plug, is MN, like Minnesota Golden Girl. She's changed my life. Her name's Kristen Rowell, but she's a great fowl, one of the best fowls I've seen on social media for health. So invest in learning, whatever it is, whatever you struggle at, invest in. Network and collaborate. And when you network and collaborate, have an accountability partner. That also goes back to the previous thing. For me, it's it's coaching, and not just the coach pouring into me, but the other people on my call that I develop a relationship with, and they're similar business that I am. That's my community. That's where I thrive. So I have to invest in myself and invest in learning. And when I network and collaborate, finding accountability partners, find people like-minded that are trying to hit these goals, and meet with them once, twice, 3 times a month. You guys have that at Berkshire, right? You guys have some accountability groups, and just, what do you call that?
Well, we could do a 12-week. 12-week year.
Yeah.
12 weeks. Nothing. No fancy name.
No fancy names? Cool. They meet and have accountability behind it. Super important. Track and measure. I'll go back to the weight loss goal. Why is it so easy? Because you can reverse engineer it. Because everyone knows I got to eat better and I got to work out more. It's not rocket science, but there's a clear goal. It's measurable. You can step on the scale as often as you want to see where you're on track. And there's visual results, right? But it's because you're tracking and measuring things. You're measuring how much you eat. You're tracking how much you work out. It's those 2 things are easy to track. And then lastly, mindset matters. So cultivate a positive and resilient mindset. Challenges will arise, but viewing the opportunities keeps you on track. Looking at that vision board. Cool? Anything else anyone wants to add? Because I'm at the hour mark and I promise to keep this at an hour and give you a half hour to work on these things. If you want them, or you can leave, or you can hang out, whatever you want. Anything else anyone wants to add?
Actually fear. Like for example, I want to start a team, but I'm so scared to pour all my knowledge in someone who's gonna then go on better things in future.
Mhm.
So I'm scared of wasting my time practically. Okay, that's the biggest fear I have right now. So how do I overcome the fear?
If you don't make it about yourself and you make it about others, you won't care that they leave and have success past you. Depends what they are. And I've been there too. I've had people that I've poured into, and they've crossed me, or they've taken business from me, or they've taken something out of my database. It's happened to me multiple times, right? But also the biggest pride I have is, one of my employees that's been with me the longest, and he's a staff person. He's not a commissioned salesperson, just cleared $1 million in the bank, right? He's been following my budget. He's followed my investing. He asked great questions. He just bought his first Airbnb. I do something, he asks questions, he wraps his mind around it, then he goes and does it. There's nothing in business that makes me prouder than that. None of my success awards, accolades touch the way I felt when he told me that. He'll tell you, I broke down crying, and I still get emotional about it, right? Because it was such a cool moment he's like, I've done a budget for this long with you, and my wife and I and our family hit this goal because of you. And I'll never be able to repay you. That's what he said to me, right? He can go do something somewhere else now. It doesn't matter. I had that moment, right? So you just got to get over that. But it will happen. It will happen, right? What else? Anything else? Questions?
What kind
Yeah.
of alarms are you setting? You said, that just through your Outlook?
No, not on my computer, on my phone.
Right, but like.
So I print out the calendar. It's on my desk all the time. So I have a visual, and then I have an audio with a visual.
Okay.
Right?
Do you not use like a special app for it, or is it just like literally just your alarms on your phone?
I'll show you. Here's a, call that. clock. So you can see how many alarms I've set, right? It's just on there. I just pull up clock. I hit the plus button, then I'll have the calendar in front of me. I'll give you an example. Going to bed is on there, by the way. I go to bed by 10 o'clock every night. My alarm goes off at 9:45 that says start getting ready for bed. I'm in bed at 10. So I'm that regimented throughout my whole day. I'm not saying you have to be. I just have learned that everything in my life turns out much better if it's all scheduled. Like 1:57, I have meeting with Realtor Stephanie. Dropkick Murphys, I'm shipping out to Boston is the song attached to it. I will hear that song. I will think of Stephanie and I'll know I gotta go there.
Now I wanna know what my song is.
Hamilton.
It's probably theater, yeah.
Maybe add some Hamilton to those.
The last one was Mud Shovel by Stained. I don't know why. It's just a song I like.
Guess I'm gonna like this.
Confirmed video email is out. That's Mud Shovel too. Meeting with my nutrition specialist, Metallica Fuel, right? I hear the fuel song, like I gotta be giving myself good fuel. And then I get excited to go talk to her and it just mentally preps me to get in a mindset for that person. I don't know why I picked Mud Shovel for you, Owen, but.
It's the best like 10 first seconds of any song pretty much, right?
Yep, yeah, that's right.
That'll get you going. I have a question while I
Yeah.
for a second. Help me reconcile how like I adapt my planning as someone who's more about like I'm really driven by the service side of this business and it's hard. The last couple of years I've tried to focus more on this becoming a business and not as much of like feeling like a hobby or a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? So like production goals are kind of tough for me to reconcile because I don't want to have to judge like a first time home buyer that's, you know, the child of a friend, you know, that has $200,000 to spend when
Yeah,
I can't, you know, I've put the same kind of effort into that as the $2 million client, right?
yeah.
So do I focus on production goals or action goals, or is there a way to kind of adapt? Because I know mortgage is very different than realtors, right? Like.
Yeah, it's in some areas, not a lot in other areas. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys sell homes, we sell money, right? We're helping, we're just, I always tell my loan officers, like, don't overblow your importance. The realtors in the house and the clients are the important ones, right? That's the product, no one cares or wants our money, right?
Yeah.
We're just a cog in the wheel like insurance is. So for us, when I focused on those goals, I can only tell you what we've done. When I want to track and measure my service and that's important to me, then I just look at current client referrals and past client referrals.
Yeah.
How many referrals am I getting? Now that means you got to ask, right? And you could also survey. Give me a survey on a scale of 1 to 5. There's Survey Monkey. You can create your own survey. There's a app called Rave that I really like that forces after the transaction's done, puts out a really nice email with a survey and points them to your Google reviews. It's called Rave. We're going to implement that. I really like the software. It's well thought out. Most of them aren't. But I would tie a goal around something service, right? And to me, you know, it's like a restaurant, right? How do you know a good restaurant? It gets recommended a lot, right? And the reviews are good. And your friend says, oh my, like I love Chicago Cut. I love Gibson's. And I love Au Cheval, right? Au Cheval was a referral to me. My buddy was like, you're not going anywhere else in Chicago besides us going to get this hamburger. I'm like, how good could a hamburger be? I was like, oh, it's pretty good, right? So that'd be an example of a referral.
Okay, so to follow up with that question, so you have a client that is a $200,000 purchase. That's gonna bring you a certain amount of revenue compared to a $2 million.
Yep.
Right, that's so where you want to, like, how do you manage that service?
It's going to be the same for everybody, or don't take the deal. It's like I'll be honest. This is just me being honest with you guys, and probably gonna not like hearing it, but it's honesty. We do equity lines for clients, right? It's a service, right? We're gonna start we do it for everyone right now. I've just told Rachel this morning, I go, it's cut off for anyone that hasn't worked with us. People can't just come in our doors, get an equity line. We do all this work, we make no money on it, and they haven't been a past client or a referring partner. No more open equity lines. It's taken up too much of our time, right? And the truth is, our service on them isn't as good because they make us no money and everybody knows it. And we try and say that we'll give the same service. We don't. We don't. It's hard. It's just the truth, right? I wish it wasn't, but it's the truth. If one of my loan partners has one of your guys' deals going on, and then there's this equity line sitting in the background, guess what they're going to work on? The purchase deal that's closing next week over the equity line. So the service just isn't as good. And then we get a bad reputation that we don't have good service, right? So I think you make a limit. It's okay to make a limit. I hear agents do it all the time. I don't work with buyers. That's fine. Know what your niche is, right? Say no more often. That would be my advice.
Yeah, that's,
I don't work with any buyers above below 400,000. Those all go to JT. Exactly. It's the truth. I agree. Yeah. Yep. That's right. Or are you gonna give them the same service? Then you shouldn't worry about it, right? He's saying he doesn't sometimes, right? That's what
no,
you're saying.
I'm not saying. We worked on deals.
I can speak for that.
Yeah,
What?
so then I heard you, I didn't hear
What I'm
you
saying
clear.
is to, like, in general, like, because I think we all think that way, right? We all think as salespeople, like, at the end of the day, you know, what am I used to my time? And then it goes back to, well, yes, you're right, you're spending time on $100,000 purchase co-op or something. That same person could be applying for life, that could be 10, 15. So when you think about it as a business, Jeremy, it's like, that's the business, right? The
Yeah.
business is your service and what you're gonna provide regardless of that. And then if you don't have somebody, if you don't want to handle that client, then you have somebody on your team or somebody that you can refer that knows will take care of them just as good as you would.
Yeah. What Jeremy was saying though is like, he doesn't want to focus on production numbers because the service is what matters to him most. And to me, the best representation of good service is they have to refer you and they want to refer you and you ask them for opportunity. Like this is how we ask for a referral, right? Say, do you have a good experience with us? Would you use this again? Any of you feel weird about asking for referrals from your clients?
No.
None of you?
No, not anymore.
Oh my gosh, this is the first room I've ever been in that says it. Do you ask every time?
No.
Why?
I don't-
So I feel weird asking. I'll be honest for myself. I need permission to ask. I need to feel like we did a good job to ask, right? We have a great service, but I'll tell you, there's deals we do where like, that was really hard and no one's happy in the end. It got done, but I don't feel good. They don't feel good. The realtor doesn't feel good. That sucked, right? Now, maybe we take the hit, maybe it's the realtor. It doesn't matter, right? It just, the client's not happy in the end, right? So the point of that is I have to get permission from them. Did you have a good experience? Would you use this again? Once I hear yes on those two things, then I ask, would you be willing to introduce me to 3 people who are renters that I could follow up with? So when they're ready to buy a home, they think of me. Will you make those introductions for me? And I have a little cheat. I have LinkedIn pulled right up and I see some of their friends and I look for people that we're both connected to. So I get a warm introduction. And if they're willing to do that, and then could you think of 2 people who might buy or sell real estate, or when they receive a job promotion, get married, have a kid, or hopefully not, but if it happens, a divorce, those are great times to introduce me. Would you look for those opportunities? And then I just remind them every 6 months when I talk to them. Those are my raving fans, as I call them. Those are the people that refer me. That's how I know I'm putting out a good experience. And then when I look back on the year, and we have a lot of current client referrals and a lot of PCRs, I feel very good in that duration that we're giving really good service. And those were up 38% for us this year. So I know we put out a good product and a better product than we did the year before, right? Now, there's not as many loans right now, so that's a little easier, but I'm going to take the win.
you have a referral, like reward incentive kind of thing you add to that, or is it just?
I do, yes, I give, and any that gotta go, don't feel bad if you gotta step out. I give any of my staff, when they get it, a $500 bonus. And I give them $1,000 if they bring in the deal outside of my network.
And we do the giveaway now.
Yep. Yeah, and then we have a client giveaway every month. Good to see
So we
you.
like a survey every month, and then you give us a referral, or you just somebody, then we put you in a drawing for a,
See, David.
That's a really good way to ask, to provide value without creating any type of conflict.
So we do a month, Adam's referring to a monthly giveaway we do. And there is a Google Doc that they have to fill out referrals for. And just, there's the same people that over and over and do, send and send and send. And then I look back, I'm like, we knocked it out of the park on their deal. Of course, they're happy. We did a great job, right? And we all know there's clients willing to do that and clients that are not.
Have you ever heard the saying, like, if you have a bad experience, you'll tell 10 people, but if you have a great experience, you'll tell one?
Yeah,
And like, so that speaks volumes, right? Like, if you're getting 38% from last year, but every time you did great, somebody only told one person.
yeah.
The number.
You're getting more no's than yeses, right? We force that a little bit with a script. So I always ask, if we have a closing together or one of our loan officers here, we ask at the end, we say, were you happy with our service? Would you use this again? Can you give us anything that we could do better? Right? If it's all limiting in that, then I say, hey, it sounds like you're really happy with us. And when they say, yes, I am, could you tell the person, and I already know the person because I track it. Could you tell Olin that we did a great job? Would you call or text him and just say you were happy with our service? I force so I get 10 of those people that are happy telling Olin that we did a good job. Right? Because they won't tell them if they don't. Right? Does that help?
Yep.
Yeah, but I agree. It's the truth. Right?
Right, that's how you rate restaurants.
Yeah.
Everybody will tell you that they had terrible service or terrible food or terrible ambiance,
Yeah.
but very rarely,
Cool.
great all around.
That's a really good comment. Anything else? Well, any of you that want to stay and fill this out, feel free. Is there any food left, CO?
Definitely, yeah.
There's food left?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
This, yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. Let's see, we had some questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.